joining another episode of Ahead of the Curve podcast. This is season 1, episode number 5. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are so excited that you have decided to join Ahead of the Curve podcast with me and my co-host, Mr. Makosa here.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Guys, this is season 1, episode number 5. We are excited you are here, and we're going to get started. We've got a guest speaker on today, and she is just a phenomenal lady. We are so happy to have her here. So let me just go ahead and pull this up, and we will get going. You guys know, every Thursday right here, same time, same bat channel, you'll see Ahead of the Curve. We're just trying to help people stay ahead of the curve, especially during this downtime, and we hope that you all enjoy today's show. So the lady that I'd like to introduce to you today, Miss Paula Wells. We titled this Networking Tycoon, because this woman is just a phenomenal leader in the area. She's a networker at heart. She loves helping people, and just a tremendous person. So I'd like to introduce Miss Paula Wells. She is the broker and owner of Primac Realty Inc. She started her company about 17 years ago. Is that correct, Miss Wells?
Yes.
She has been licensed for over 20 years and has been active in real estate for over 20 years. Paula and her husband once owned over 30 properties and had over 50 tenants. They still own a dozen properties and are always in the market for more. She got her start buying, fixing, and selling. She currently manages over 70 properties for herself and others. Tremendous, yeah. Ms. Paula received her degree in special education from Illinois State University and her master's from Northern Illinois University. She has taught all age groups of students with learning disabilities, behavior issues, and mentally handicapped. Paula grew up in the west suburbs of Chicago, where she played sports, viola, took Greek language lessons, participated in youth programs and groups, and worked as a waitress at her family restaurant growing up. So I look forward to hearing about that. Mm-hmm. She's been married to Brad for almost 27 years and has 3 children, Stephen, 23, Christina, 21, and Nicholas, 19. Her hobbies include traveling to visit the 2 still in college to watch their baseball and softball games. She also likes to read and run when she finds the time. She currently lives in Apopka and has lived in Central Florida for over 27 years. Her burning desire is to travel the world with her family. And something that most people don't know about Paula is that she ran an authentic marathon in Greece with her sisters to help celebrate her 25th birthday.
Yes.
Wow. Paula, what haven't you done? I mean, I think that list is shorter than the things you have done.
But I think one of the key things that I do know, and I always hear you say, Paula, is that your key to success is to do what you love and to know why you're doing it. And I am so excited to have you on today to talk with our guests and everybody watching in. So thank you for being here. We appreciate you. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you. It's great to be here. And thank you so much for having me on. Yeah. I've watched some of your other episodes and I'm excited to now be a part of that as well.
Awesome.
So as that introduction was being read, I have my tablet out here and I'm Googling Paula Wells and I am absolutely like, whoa.
Check that out.
Wow.
Paula Wells. So we know that you are in the community and out there and really just a tycoon, networker, and real estate broker. So thank you for being on.
What deal have you not been in? Like, I feel like we should change the podcast today and just ask, what has Paula Wells not done?
I'm sure I could name a few.
Awesome.
Well, Paula, the direction of our podcast today is we really wanted to hone in on just leadership and entrepreneurship and just having that networking mentality. And so we're going to go through some questions with you today, just to help our viewers who are out there who maybe are entrepreneurs, how they can help stay ahead of the curve. So with your expertise, we know it's going to be a great podcast. So let's go ahead and go into our first question. Thingwa?
Well, Ms. Wells, we wanted to find out what motivates you on a daily basis, because obviously, you know, I've personally met you and I've, you know, grown to know, like, and trust you. But more importantly, you are always just a trendsetter. And I've always wondered what, you know, your typical daily habits are for you to be this successful.
So what motivates you?
Motivation is my family. Like we had kind of talked about, enjoying what I do. I am a teacher by trade, as you had mentioned, and I enjoy teaching and helping others. And I can do that every day through my real estate and through what I do daily. But on a daily basis, I wake up, I kind of get my day focused and started. I usually exercise. Lately, it's been running or walking. I like to go to the gym, and then and hit the office and all my appointments.
Awesome. So that kind of falls into our next question as to what type of daily habits do you have
that contribute directly to your success in terms of you being such a prominent business lady in the community?
Like I said, I wake up in the morning, I check emails and kind of do some daily readings and just kind of focus on my day. What do I have planned for the day? How can I be efficient with my time? I like to, as I'm heading to appointments, I like to make this stop along the way, or just to maximize my time. Like I said, I'll make phone calls while I'm driving. I'll assign as much tasks as I can to my assistants. I work with a couple ladies in the office that help me out tremendously. And so if I can divvy out what they need to do, I don't have to do it. I can focus on what I like to do and enjoy.
Awesome. Well, that definitely is something that I feel, you know, a lot of times whenever people are asking, so what has contributed to your success? A lot of times it's like, oh, well, I've done this and this in business, but it's not the really disciplined things on a daily basis that people get into. And so I appreciate you sharing that with us, because that really does help, I think, when people know what to do on a daily basis, because those little disciplines add up. So definitely.
Right.
Well, Ms. Paula, I'm going to add a little bit to that just because I know you personally, and I think you're selling yourself a little bit short on your networking, communication. I mean, I've seen Paula, you know, we're having breakfast at a restaurant and just strike up a conversation that leads to a sale of a property right then and there. I think, Paula, would you like to talk a little bit about your communication skills? I mean, where do they come from? Because I think that's such a key part to Paula Wells and the Paula Wells story, right?
Right. And I get that. And I have a side story to tell about that. I grew up in my dad's restaurant. So we were always talking to people and the customers. They became our friends and our family. Grew up around all my cousins. I have 3 sisters. So I've always been open and enjoy talking to people. I was part of a lot of sports. I was a part of a lot of music. I did Sunday school. I did Greek school. So we were always around people, and I always enjoy talking to people. I will say hello to anybody or everybody. I'll wave to people. I do a lot of running, as we talked about, and I've got my Chicago poster from my Chicago marathon. And so as we walk, and a friend and I were walking one day, and she said, "You say hello to everybody." I said, "Well, why not? You know, we're walking past somebody. It's only courtesy to say hello." So either to nod or to smile. And she kind of made that comment. I go, "Oh, I guess I do." So, and now a few months later, now she's saying hi to people too. So it's just common courtesy to say hello. I always love to know where people are from, what their likes are, where they live, what kind of work they do. I'm just interested in people.
That's awesome. That is so cool. So with that being said, we want to kind of walk through your journey in life. So you said that you owned, your family owned a restaurant. You grew up doing that. What else, if you could just take us through a quick synopsis of your journey in life to where you are now.
All right. So I grew up in the west suburbs of Chicago. I did work at my dad's restaurant. I went to undergrad at Illinois State University. I started working. I got my master's my first couple years. While I was up there, I bought my first house right after I graduated, and right before I got my master's, I bought my first house up in Chicago. Moved out of my parents' house, had saved up enough money, which was nice, and had that wonderful experience. But then I got engaged and moved to Florida about 6 months later. So within a year, then I sold that house, actually broke even or made some money, and came here and started working at Evans High School, for those of you that are local here. Worked there for quite a while and moved down to South Florida for a couple of years as well. Did the same thing. I was working in special ed, and then I was doing special ed, and my husband was helping raise the kids. So eventually we started buying, fixing, and selling for extra income. My husband loves to read and loves to research all that information. So we started buying and fixing and selling, and then we couldn't sell. So then we had to keep some of those properties, and that's how we became property managers. At that time, we were reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or he was reading
Robert
Rich Dad,
Kiyosaki.
Poor Dad.
Kiyosaki.
And so we had that passive income, or we were looking for that passive income. After a while, we said, let's do that. I was able to give up teaching then, and then do real estate full time. So 20 years later, I'm still doing that. With the fall of the real estate crisis of 10, 12 years ago, then with all those properties, our tenants couldn't pay their rent. So we ended up losing a bunch, foreclosing on a few, was able to hang on to a bunch, and now we're building back up again. So not easy to admit that we had lost properties and had to let some go. And it was just, it's against my nature to let things go like that, but there was no choice. Once if you can't pay and you've borrowed enough money from family and friends, and you had no other choice. So, so back on the game though.
Awesome. Well, I do know, Paula, some people, reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki and all of his other books, I do know that, people will work their whole lives, they'll have to let go of stuff, and they can't bounce back. And one thing that I know that you, for sure, you're building an empire. It's not just a, little side hustle. It's something that you have built and you can sustain it. I know, like Robert Kiyosaki talks about people who have lost everything and they bounce back even bigger because they've had those daily disciplines and they've incorporated them in their daily lives. So we see your success in the community, and there's definitely no doubt that what you've gone through was just a stepping stone to get to where you're at today. So that is awesome. So that kind of answers our next question, was how did you transition or pivot from special ed school teacher to real estate? And so
real quick, so yeah, we have a question here in the chat. Somebody was just asking, so how, and we're kind of keeping this series for how we tackle the fourth industrial revolution, right? Because now it's come and technology is changing everything. Before, a post office had 50 workers. Now they only have 3 or 4, for example. And so a lot of things are changing. And so I think a lot of people now are kind of stressed out, scared, excited, and maybe even rushing the whole aspect of pivoting. So can you kind of just walk us through, when you were going through these changes in your lives, number one, what motivated you? And number two, as you pivot, did you need to close certain doors where, income was coming in securely to open the door where more income would come in, but it required energy to open that door? So can you kind of just walk us through, how did Paula decide, okay, hey, I'm pivoting this direction versus that direction?
Right. And I don't think we actually make that decision to pivot. I think it happens or it evolves. So, like I said, I was teaching, my husband was home with the kids. And that was important too, that I did have to send my one to daycare for a couple days, and he got bit the first day of class. I'm like, I really didn't like that. But it got better. And so we ended up doing some extra money it was kind of like a side hustle at the time. But it was scary because then I was also working full time. I had benefits. I had a salary. I knew what I was making. I was a teacher. I had great hours. And so it was tough to walk away. And then you have to trust yourself and your process to build up that income to be able to walk away from that school or from that steady job. So it was a transition. It took a little while, but I was finally able to make that leap. I think between the property management and then the sales, we were able to kind of feel comfortable enough to be able to pivot or to move and to move on. So not an easy decision, and not sure if we made that decision, but that's kind of how it happened or evolved.
Awesome.
So, I mean, but even when you were still working as a teacher, you were obviously growing your portfolio. Were you
Yes.
growing it for a rainy day? Because nowadays with millennials, we don't really save, right?
Right.
And millennials don't really buy houses.
Right. They want to rent. You're right. And so part of our plan was then that was kind of our savings for the kids' education too, or for college, that once they got to a certain age, we could sell a property and use that for their education. So we had some savings they had some savings for their education, but we didn't know how we were going to pay for that. So that house was also the plan to, once we sold that or to pull the equity from it, was going to be how we would pay for their education. And we none of them have any education debts to date. So we did all right with that. We were able to keep a couple properties and pay off their education debt.
That is so awesome.
Hey, I hope the viewers that are tuning in, some of y'all are just, having kids, and, some of y'all are kind of like, oh no, he's going to play sports. But sometimes, you have to save and you have to help your kids get a tertiary education. And it's just different because my parents from a very young age were so motivated to family, have kids, pay for their education. And now a lot of people are just kind of, not in that mind space, I guess. It's a little different. So it's a little refreshing to just hear you kind of go, hey, this opportunity presented itself because we were thinking of the future. And sometimes, I guess, we're a generation right now, right? We're microwave babies. So the whole planning and future aspect sometimes is kind of, oh, I'll just get there. And there's no real thought to it. So thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
Crystal, do you have a
I wanted to get into a little bit more of the networking side, because I know that you're in different organizations, but how were you introduced to networking per se, quote unquote, and how important has it been to your business?
So about 11 years ago, a friend asked me to join her at a networking meeting. I had no idea what it was or where I was going. I went. It was actually a startup BNI meeting. I went with the intention of saying no. Thanks. I was being nice to my friend. I'll attend. And it was actually, we cannot compete for our industries. So we had to, she wanted me to come in as a property manager, and I didn't know if I wanted to grow that side of my business. So like I said, I went with the intention of saying thanks, but no thanks. I thought about it. I heard the message they were giving or teaching us, and I ended up joining for 2 years. And I have never looked back since. It's been an amazing opportunity, and it's probably accounted for 75 to 85% of my business to date. I've probably matched my school income from BNI with what I had done from what I have gained from the referrals that I get in BNI.
As you're talking, I am taking notes. I'm writing down in my little notebook here because we've got some seriously good snippets. And so, Crystal.
So yeah, I mean, that follows into, what other type of networking groups are you a part of? I think you do like women's like breakfast or something like that too. What else are you part of?
We just host a women's girls' night, basically.
Okay.
It's all social. It's not a networking group. I just say it's random women. I have people in my circle from real estate, from softball, from baseball, from the neighborhood, and I'll be talking to somebody, say, hey, let's go to dinner one night. And so once a month we go to dinner, and we pick a different place, and we just go and hang out and get to know each other more and be social. So I do that once a month, and then Friday mornings I do a coffee with my networking group. Anybody's invited to that as well. We like to invite other people, and we spend 30, 45 minutes drinking coffee and donuts. The donuts are great. They are very calorie-free and carb-free.
Okay, so over COVID-19 with the Zoom, I got it, calorie-free.
Yes, yeah. So Friday mornings we meet and we have coffee, and it's just, again, just a nice way to kick off the week and how you've been doing and what's going on.
Awesome.
So it's.
So, I just wanted to ask, I mean, number one, we're gonna definitely share some of these links in the description below. But to the viewers, please make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. We're gonna be posting this every Thursday, 7 p.m. And so, Paula, my next question is, the topic at hand is COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what is it like for you being a business lady in the community? What are you seeing? And how are you pivoting your industry, your businesses to, number one, handle this COVID crisis and to bounce back from the pandemic?
It's a couple-fold for me because I do the property management. We had sent out emails. We contacted most of our owners and tenants to say, are you okay? How's everything going? The amazing thing was that most of my tenants were not affected. They said, we'll be okay for this month. We're not sure about next month. But for the most part, I'm able to collect most of my rents. And most of my tenants are healthy and are working. The ones that aren't are still making an effort to pay. And some of the owners have been gracious to say, we'll give our tenant a discount. So that's been kind of neat too. It's kind of nice to reconnect with all the owners too. I don't always get to talk to them all on the phone, but I've had some great conversations recently. And my owners are all over the world. They're in Mexico and California and Canada. Some are right here in Apopka. They're all over, and some are in Europe. One's in Bali. So it's kind of neat that I get to touch base and chat with everybody, see how they're handling it as well. So on that aspect, my property management, and a lot of people are moving right now. It's amazing that all my vacancies are pretty much filled up. And on the sales side, I'm still able to show properties, still able to take people, my buyers around. Some of the people have asked us to wear masks and gloves, and of course we abide. We haven't really been declined any showings. My listings most of them are vacant, so the sellers are okay with people going at whatever time they want to go. So, but
sure you get a face mask. Okay.
I think I've been out almost every day, and I think I've been just so busy and working so many more hours. I don't really know where it's all coming from. I appreciate it and I go with it. And, but I've been very fortunate that most things are still a go.
Awesome. Awesome. So with all of that, and all of our viewers right now, what kind of advice can you give entrepreneurs who are trying to stay ahead of the curve as we head into the next industrial revolution, as we mentioned? What is some advice that you could give these entrepreneurs?
I would say that just follow up, make those phone calls, keep in touch with people, communication. I always tell my tenants now, my owners, my buyers, I communicate so much and I teach that just be genuine and answer calls and follow up with what you say you're going to do, or do what you say you're going to do. Your word is your word, and do the things that you say. And entrepreneurs should still do the same thing.
Right.
People pick up on that when they know when you're being sincere. They know when you're trying to help them or you're just trying to make a dollar off of them. So,
so Paula, when you were kind of going through your paces, and we're going back to, Paula getting out of college. Was there a financial plan? I mean, did you follow certain mentors, or did you seek professional business advice? How did that look, at different stages for different pivots?
No, and I wish I would have. So I tell a life insurance friend that I know, I would go to the cafeteria or to the teacher workroom, and there would be postcards of people trying to talk to us about retirement plans and investments and things like that. I had no idea about any of it. And so I didn't invest. And then when I finally did stumble on it, I said, I wish I would have known about this sooner. So I would always ask. I always loved listening to my grandparents, to my parents, to my aunts and uncles, because to me, they were always successful. They always had control of their own time. And that's what was important to me too, is that I had time in the afternoons to be in control of my schedule, to go watch the kids play ball, that kind of thing. So that's kind of also what prompted me to become my own boss, so that I could be in control. But as far as entrepreneurs, like I said, live the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and it goes a long way.
Yes, most
So
certainly.
I guess, having the time freedom really puts you ahead of the curve in terms from a personal development stage, because I guess you are very motivated by family. And, I just think that's really beautiful. And, a lot of people out there that are millennials or Generation Y or Generation Z now are, struggling because they're working 3 to 4 jobs, and they don't know how do they even get started, right? How do they even get to pivot, or how do they, for example, follow your footsteps and become a pretty much real estate specialist, guru,
Yes, sir.
connoisseur,
Right. And it's, you can't really teach work ethic. So those people that are working 2 and 3 jobs, I applaud them, because so many want to sit around and not work. And then there are those ones who want to work and save money. I see all aspects, because I manage 70 properties. I get the 20-year-olds, I get the 30, 40, 50, 60, 70-year-olds that all rent from me, and I hear their stories, and I hear their, I want to pay off my car. I don't want to buy an expensive car. I don't want to get, so I hear different generations. And even about a week ago, I had a conversation with one of my son's friends, and he was asking about investing and putting his money in the bank, or I said, talk to your grandfather, talk to your father, talk to certain people to maximize that. And that's refreshing to me, to hear some of the youth that want to invest, that kind of see that their parents are their own business owners, and have that opportunity to spend a week with them away at a baseball tournament or a softball tournament. And they understand that those parents have worked very hard for it, but then they also plan and strategize their savings or their investments. So.
Wow, that's awesome. So, I'm just taking down, some really good notes here, talking about investing more, asking your elders, and just kind of controlling your time, and I really speak a lot to, especially when it comes to work ethic, because, being a professional golfer, if you want to be successful, you got to show up every day, and Vijay Singh, who is in the Golf Hall of Fame, I went up to TPC Sawgrass with a close friend of mine, Dr. Ara Sapaya, who's the PGA Tour doctor, pretty much. He took me up there to meet Vijay, and, at the time I was kind of like, I'm meeting Vijay Singh, because he's such a prominent figure. And he asked me, you want to turn professional? Okay, cool. Well, there's 2 kinds of professionals, right? There's professionals where, hey, I want a tournament, and I'm out partying, Sunday night, Monday morning, I'm partying for the rest of the week. And then there's the professional who, win, lose, or draw, is back on the range at 7 a.m. on Monday morning, doing the things that are not exotic or romantic, right, to get ahead. Yeah. And, and the thing that motivates, the thing that inspires me from your journey and your story is your ability to pivot, because golf has changed so much, and it's become such a, how can I put this? Such a competitive environment It's so cutthroat, I believe is the right term. And so now you have to know how to pivot and kind of, like you said, when the opportunity meets you, you have to be open and willing to receive it. So,
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and I took, you know, doing what you say you're going to do and being genuine, following up. You know, we went to a company here in Florida, and we get over there. It was on Google review. It seemed okay. And we get there, and the guy is closing really early. This was way before COVID. And he's closing really early. He's like, you can just come back tomorrow. No customer service, nothing.
Mm,
I'm thinking to myself, like, back in the day, like, this would have never happened. It would have been, come on in, you know, it's already past closing time, but come on in, you know.
right.
And so I really appreciate your work ethic, and we do see that in the community. And so that kind of just falls into one of our latter questions is, actually, do you have any online resources that you would recommend to anybody, whether it's entrepreneurial resources, podcasts, books, websites, anything that you would recommend?
I engage in those things, but as far as online, I couldn't. I love a book. I love to pick up a book and read it. Online, I would look for any type of networking type of podcasts, things. I love the Kiyosaki ideas. I love, let's see, what other resources? Just know your business. Know the resources that help me. So besides my multiple listing service that I subscribe to, I also use different websites that help me to get values or help me to do comparables, help me to do those kind of things.
Awesome.
So just for people to know what resources are available to them, and I like to keep things simple. So not to have 10 of them, but you know, 1 or 2 things that you have that will be efficient and effective for you.
Awesome. All right. Well, so if somebody's going to be trying to get a hold of you, if they want to rent, buy, or invest, looking at those type of properties, this is the way they'd get a hold of you, through this number, correct?
This is the office number. They are welcome to call or text that number and or my cell phone or through email. Any way is good.
Awesome.
And guys, I just want to say, you know, Paula is such an amazing communicator, and Paula is always very, even though she's an industry leader and, you know, she has an entire gambit of services, she is very humble and professional. That's the best way I can put it. She's very gracious. She's very professional. And more importantly, she has an entire toolbox at her disposal, whether you're a first-time homeowner or whether you're just looking to be an empty nester. You know, definitely go out to Primac Realty, look them up. They have a lot of options, whether it's you're looking to get into real estate from the investment side to real estate from, hey, I just want to get a smaller house because this 5-bedroom house, all my kids are off to college and it's just me and my beautiful wife. Or, hey, you know, I'm in my 30s and I've got a good job now. I want to get a house. How do I get started? And so what I've learned from Paula is she really walks you through all of that, whether you need to find a good bank loan. She is not just a generic real estate broker or agent. She actually kind of walks you through the process and educates you.
Right.
The best way I can say it. And Paula, I just wanted to touch upon those things because then maybe you can expand a little bit on all the services you provide and the different types of clients that you have, or any stories of success.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Like you said, I love to teach. So I have the 20-somethings that buy houses that have never bought a house before. So I walk them through that process. It's about a 30-40 step process to buying a house. So whether it's starting to clean up your credit and then referring mortgage brokers, referring the insurance brokers, the inspectors, there's so many steps to the process that people are not aware of. Same thing on the selling side, to walk everybody through that process, to educate them. And what else were we talking about?
Well, I just wanted to say, like, I know with your open network of everybody that you network with, we were talking a while back, and like, you know, everybody from like a bug inspector to a pool guy to a plumber to, I mean, like everything. So when somebody buys a home, it's not like the done, you know, one and done. Like you are there from
you get an
beginning
entire toolbox
to end. So that is
right.
awesome.
I do keep in touch with people afterwards, of course, and they're saying, hey, now we need to do this, we need to do that, homestead. I try to keep in touch with people, or they do too. I love running into them in the community or driving by their house. Actually, about an hour before we started this, I had a friend from my first BNI group back in 99 texted me to say, hey, do you have a home inspector? I need to get a 4-point inspection for my house. So I just sent him a link. So yes, Paula's kind of the go-to person for who do you know, who do you know?
Paula, for viewers at home, you know, you used a 3-letter word, I believe it was BNI. Could you expand a little bit on what that is? Because it just seems like that is has been instrumental to, you know, your business in recent years.
Right. So I've been part of that for about 11 years now. It's a networking group that I belong to. We are not able to compete. So so I'm the real estate agent in that group. We could have another property manager. We could have different industries in that group. And so what it affords me is seeing these people every week, getting to know them, like them, trust them, so that it's easy for me to refer business to them. And hopefully in return, I will get that business back. But that's not the intent. The intent is for me to help those people, to educate them also, though, on what I'm looking for. So we share a lot of clients, and then we don't compete with those clients. So what benefits your client, all of us can benefit the same client, I guess is what I'm saying, which makes me a better resource for my clients. So
what an awesome philosophy.
It's a great concept, and it has helped me. It has lowered my stress levels amazingly, because I have access to so many great people that have been brought into this business from other people that I know and like and trust. So it's been an amazing journey for me to learn about this and to be a part of it.
And that's international, right? So it's all over the world.
It is. It's international. So we actually have people in Central Florida that have come from other countries that are part of our network, but I've also given and gotten business from their network. People that are coming from other states want help in real estate and they don't know anybody. So it's easier for them to find somebody that has already been vetted through this process or been in a BNI group. When I manage properties more than 30, 40, 50 miles from me, I will go to a BNI website to find that pest control person or someone to pressure wash or whatever help I might need. And so it's been invaluable.
Well, as we're over here in COVID, I need a cleaning service lady. And I don't know if you know anyone, but you know, you start to notice how dirty certain rooms are when you're in lockdown. But thank you so much. I've got one of my golf guys who is retired. He's an investor, and he says, wow, thank you so much for bringing Paula onto this podcast. We would love to have a one-to-one with her and learn how me and my brother can invest in real estate. So
Awesome.
how does that even happen if you can just spend, you know, a minute or two to kind of walk through the investor guys, because I'm in front of people that are playing golf and are looking for that pivot, and you're pretty much the joint that pivots a lot.
Right. Well, years ago, I was just helping people buy and sell. And then when the market went south, we couldn't sell their properties. So we said, let's rent them out. And that's kind of how my property management got started. So with that, then people knew that I think outside the box, that I'm not just a cookie cutter type of agent or broker, that I can actually think outside the box. I work, since I'm an investor myself, or used to do more investing in the past, I have that knowledge. And so I love sitting down with that person, either helping them find a property that needs some work or finding a good property in a good neighborhood to rent. we just kind of sit down, have a conversation. What kind of investing do they want to do? Do they want to buy and hold? Do they want to put renters in there? Do they want to fix and flip? There's so many ways to invest, and real estate is the best place to park your money right now, I think.
I was actually going to ask that. This is the last question we have. I know people are still asking questions. We're coming up on time here shortly, but with the COVID, you know, how is it different from the '08 market? And number two, you know, is it a good time to actually invest in real estate, or can we predict what's going to happen with this market?
I think what happened back in '08, a lot of people didn't have the money to keep up with their mortgages, or their rates kept going up and they couldn't keep up with it. That's not what's happening now. They're losing their income, but it seems like the banks are working with everybody. So I don't think we're going to see the mass exodus of short sales and foreclosures. I think we will still see some. I do see a lot of properties going on the market. People might be scared and they're trying to let go of them and get a good price right now. It's a very competitive market. I've got a handful of agents who are putting in offers on properties for their buyers, and there's multiple offers. So right now would be a great time to sell. I think it's never predictable, our market. People always ask me and I say it's not predictable. I used to be able to predict what was going on, and it's so difficult right now. I would think that our prices are coming down and our inventory is going up, but right now we're in a very competitive market for listings.
Awesome, awesome.
Well, Paula, I mean, thank you so much. Like I said, we're coming close to the end here. I think what we need to do is we need to bring you back on board, because I've got a list of 5 or 4 questions stemming from real estate and networking and, you know, just your professional expertise. So, ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Paula Wells, we look forward to having you back sometime in the near future. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule. I know, you know, you kind of had to move and shift some things to be with us today. And so we are eternally grateful. Coach K, did you have anything else to add?
Just thank you so much. I know that even with the COVID, you've been super busy, so we thank you so much. And we're going to go ahead and just thank our sponsors right now. Thank you for our sponsors. We've got ID Shield Independent Associates, helping to protect your most valuable asset, your good name. We have Makosa Shots with your face masks, helping you protect yourself from this COVID-19.
4th of July.
We got 4th of July coming up. Get your masks today. And Makosa Golf, helping you with all of your golf needs, from instruction to charity events and everything in between. Go to makosagolf.com. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Until next time, next Thursday, we are ahead of the curve.
Woo woo!
See you next Thursday, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you so much, Paula. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you guys. Have fun.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow, she's got so much she's doing.